Welcome back. I'm still with Chris. Chris, let's move to another story. Could Kenya be the future leader in wine production in Africa? The Grape Growers Association of Kenya thinks so. They want more Kenyan farmers to venture into grape farming, citing that this unexplored fruit is the next best secret for Kenyan farmers.
The best grape varieties in Africa come from South Africa. But given that wine is consumed worldwide, some adventurous farmers in Kenya are now attempting grape farming. We caught up with some farmers working on their farms in Kamulu area. The grapevines on this 10-acre piece of land are between 4 to 9 months old.
As you can see, this one is around 9 months old, and inachukua kama miaka mbili ndio uanze kuvuna. Kwa eka moja unahitaji mimiche 1600, na kwa hii mmea una harvest mara mbili kwa mwaka.
We are dealing with both wine grapes and table grapes, and we are doing the best varieties that we are getting from South Africa. You know, we have different varieties, many of them, but we have specific good varieties that can do well in Kenyan climate.
Once established, grapevine continues to bear fruit for 200 years. It is also very easy to manage, just seasonal pruning, irrigation and fertilizer application. Depending on how soon the vine develops its strong stems, the first harvest can be realized between 2 to 3 years from the day of planting. Afterwards, a farmer can harvest every 6 months. But commercial grape farming requires that a vine be strengthened for its stem to be able to carry the weight of the fruit over the years.
Na ukiona hapa nimeweka drip system, kiangalia hapa chini, nimeweka drip system which is giving me very good economies of water. Na ukiangalia sasa hizi tank nimeweka hapa juu, ni si tank mingi na zinamanage shamba yote ya 10 acres.
These farmers target to fill the void of inadequate raw materials for winemakers in the country, who have to spend a lot of money importing grapes from South Africa. Given the proximity that Kenya has to the equator and the amount of sunshine she gets, grapes from Kenya are expected to be even sweeter. Experts warn that if a farmer gets it wrong with the seedling, it would translate to 200 years of loss and misery. Hence the need for farmers to get the right seedlings for planting. This would save farmers the trouble of uprooting established vines when the fruits aren't of quality. Grape Growers Association of Kenya (GGAK) has rolled out a vigorous program to recruit farmers to start growing grapes, both for wine making and eating. Already the GGAK has entered into partnership with Heineken, which will see the winemaker buy grapes from its members on a contractual basis at 60 shillings per kilo. The company is completing a state-of-the-art winery in Ruiru Town, Kiambu County, which will be operational in 3 years. The plant will specialize in authentic Kenyan wine.
To become a member in GGAK, Grape Growers Association of Kenya, what you need a piece of land, of course, starting from a half an acre, 1 acre, or maybe even 100 acres. Then you are supposed to be trained, get the skills and the technology of both planting, post-harvest management, and the sorting.
Currently in Kenya, established vineyards can only be found in Meru and Naivasha. But Grape Growers Association of Kenya hope to make grape farming a popular practice across the country.
Chris, are you a wine person in the first place?
I don't take wine because of my religious beliefs, but I use a lot of grapes in terms of fruit when it is raw. So it's an interesting fruit for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think Kenyan farmers can make more money from grape farming apart from just growing the fruit alone to making wine?
One thing that I know that there is immense market of wine, because quite a number take wine in Kenya, and it's a very big market. The only worry that I will have is about the soils that we have, because it is also important to understand the soil nutrients that are required for the growth of wine. And given that I am not a specialist in this area, but the grape specialists feel so, perhaps they have looked at the kind of soil that we have, they have looked at what is required. If our soils could grow grapes, I think it's a good idea, because you see, one of the things that really happens when you are able to grow it and you are able to cut down on the cost of production, because again, that's also one of the things to consider. You can grow it, but then it doesn't become competitive. You don't become competitive.
I've also seen calls on crop diversification. They call it crop diversification. Remember, between this year and last year, maize farmers complained a lot about the drop in the price of maize and the failure by government to provide subsidies. And now they've been asking the farmers to diversify, and one of the crops that came up was avocados. I don't know, could the grape now and avocado be the silver bullet for the farmers?
And many other crops perhaps, yeah, because you see, what I'm looking at it, even maize farming, it's not that it is not productive. I think it is more of a mental challenge that we have in Kenya. Crop diversification is one of the ways that not only addresses the soil issues, the soil fertility, the soil needs, but it also helps in terms of also being able to meet a number of food requirements within the family and the household level. So being able to produce more is a good idea, but as we venture, my only worry is we are trying to venture. There are people who are already in that industry. You must be able to get it very right. You must be able to play it very well so that you are competitive. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then what will happen is, yes, you are producing it, but it becomes too expensive. So somebody will say, why do we need, yes, I like being local, but why should I spend so much money just buying local when I can get it cheaply from outside? So then the people will prefer importing more than using the local.
For winemakers, I'm sure at the moment they are watching and saying, how would a Kenyan wine taste? And I'm sure they are very excited and looking forward to a bottle of wine from Kenya. Maybe we move on to other story. Kakamega County has embarked on an initiative to improve the dairy cattle breeds in the county. The One Cow initiative seeks to increase milk production in the county and also ensure a constant supply of milk to the Malava dairy plant. Our reporter Jacqueline Kemunto sat down with the chief officer in charge of livestock and fisheries, Nelly Auma, who revealed under the One Cow initiative, households will be given grade cows by the county government.
The One Cow initiative is a program aimed at increasing milk production in Kakamega County, as well as improving the dairy breed from the local Zebu and Boran. According to Dr. Kelly, the over-reliance of getting milk from other neighboring counties is what pushed the county to upgrade its dairy breeds.
So the program of One Cow initiative, so we are giving farmers improved dairy animals sourced from outside the county. This is also majorly to improve the county dairy herd genetics to improve productivity. So One Cow and AI are actually aimed at improving the genetics in Kakamega.
Currently, close to 70% of the dairy animals is made up of the local Zebu and Boran breeds.
70% of the cattle population in Kakamega is made up of the indigenous Zebu, which are very low in productivity, and this is just aimed at improving what is already there. AI can be used on all animals. They are breeds that are friendly to all sizes of animals, including the Zebu. We've actually gone out, a team of professionals, just to be sure that that is what we want to bring into the county. We've sampled and seen the animals and told the supplier that this is what we would want. And when they'll be supplying, again, professionals will go out, be satisfied with the quality of animals, and we will not leave the animals on the ground. As you certify the animal is transported to, we plan to hold them in, we have an agricultural training center. We'll hold them there for some time before issuing to the farmers.
Kakamega requires close to 198 million liters of milk on an annual basis, forcing the county to rely heavily on Uasin Gishu County and Nandi counties for milk. Reporting for Farmers TV, I'm Jacqueline Kemunto.
Chris, what do you feel about that story?
That is a good effort. In Kenya Markets Trust, we are concerned about three aspects: competitiveness, sustainability, and also inclusivity. And I think through that, what Kakamega County is trying to do is to be inclusive, try and engage everybody else. Whether it becomes competitive and sustainable, that is where we need really to ask ourselves. But I feel it's a very good project because, again, if you look at Kakamega, they have always been known for maize growing, farming, but there's a bit of also livestock keeping, and it's very good also for dairy. So again, giving the right animal. The question will be, what is the process of giving this animal? Because sometimes you may give an animal, but there is nobody to take care of it. There is nobody who really understands what it entails to make sure that this animal actually delivers on what is expected. You know, you can have an animal that, you know, is supposed to give even 50 liters of milk per day. But how you take care of that animal will enable it achieve that goal. But if you don't take good care of it, even an animal that is supposed to do that, because about the potential and the actual. So what goes into the cow, the input versus the output, is very important. But that step is recommended and very recommendable because at least the county government realizes that there is something that can transform the lives of the people.
Talking of extension services, Chris, even the national government, it got to a point that they could not sustain sending extension officers out there. I don't know whether our counties have that capacity to have enough extension services, especially for a project like this one, to help farmers. You know, I don't think Kakamega was originally a dairy region. They were mostly maize and sugarcane. So this is a new venture.
Yes.
And as you said, taking proper care of these animals will determine the outcome of whether it was successful or not.
Yes.
So the question would be, is Kakamega County having the capacity to have enough extension officers to educate the farmers?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that they must not be able to employ. Because, you know, sometimes when you talk about extension officers, the question we ask ourselves, where are the resources to employ them? I believe you don't really have to employ, but you really have to look for a way, because this can be a very good venture also for the youths. The youths who have the qualification, we have so many people that have been trained in veterinary medicine, but they don't have jobs. So what if you reached an agreement where, you know, you find an amicable way, and how I look at it, give them the necessary training, educate the farmers so that they can be able to attend to particular area or region. And out of what they are able to produce, because they are taking this milk to a particular circle, you know, there is a dairy plant where they are taking the milk. So you organize it in a seamless way such that there is connection between these extension officers and also the farmers. But beyond that, the county government is also facilitating them. Because you see, employment is one aspect, but you can employ today out of excitement. But then along the way you realize what you are getting from the farmers or what you are generating out of it, because I think also our employment should be supported by what is the outcome, the economic growth. You can be excited to employ because you are providing employment, but then what you are generating out of this is not sustainable, cannot be, so you are actually making losses. So for me, I look at it in a way of, you know, making this business lucrative.
Talking of sustainability,
Yes.
In dairy farming, even in the regions that dairy is doing very well, talk of the Rift Valley, Kiambu, Trans Nzoia, the biggest concern of farmers is the cost of animal feed. I don't know whether the county government of Kakamega has looked into that and tried to look for ways of making sure that these farmers also get cheaper animal feed, because animal feed, for example, they say cost almost 60% of what the farmer makes at the end of the day. So something has to be done to reduce it. Do you think the county has really thought this through? Apart just from giving a cow, there is a lot of things that come with it, a lot of responsibility. Do you think the county government has really thought through this idea?
Given this a chief officer, I believe they have really and critically looked through it. The only thing is they might not have been very keen in just you know, looking at it as more of economic activity, or from the perspective that it is actually something that is going to be a big thing. in the short run, it may not be a big thing, but in the long run, I look at it, it is one way that you can transform the lives of the people of Kakamega. The only thing that also needs to be done is more of a cost-benefit analysis. An earlier study that was done by Tegemeo Institute actually shows that those who are keeping dairy are making losses because there are certain costs that goes into the production of milk. And then there is the actual milk that you produce and how much you sell it. So there can also be excitement, sometimes we also need to show our people that we are concerned about them, but doing a cost-benefit analysis, just looking at how much does it cost to produce 1 liter of milk, and then how much does it sell, 1 liter of milk sell, do we have the market for it? And milk is also very perishable. So you really also need to look at it in terms of how do we have the ready market. But one other thing that is also coming out is also the production of biogas from this milk. So if you also look at the animal, not just in terms of milk, we also have the other byproducts that can come from it, butter, ghee, and all that. So if you try to diversify so that you stop looking at it as just milk production, but look at it in terms of what else can I get from it, then it may become very viable.
Thank you, Chris, for those insights. And indeed, we need to thank Kakamega County for this initiative. It is indeed a move in the right direction, and I think other counties need to emulate what Kakamega is doing. Now let's look at another story here. Mopane worms are a traditional snack in South Africa, but a Cape Town restaurant is set to crawl into the history books as the first to serve a full menu of bag-infused delicacies. The Insect Experience, which opened its doors this month, is offering an alternative food source in the city's mainstream culinary experience.
Lentil fries. The smoked. So currently I have 3 dishes and still experimenting with more. So it ranges from a Mopane worm to black soldier fly. We use mealworms and also black soldier fly larvae as garnish.
The insects that we use, the black soldier fly larvae, are much higher in zinc, iron and calcium than beef. So they don't just have that protein and that fat component, they also have a very rich mineral component, which is typically deficiencies in both developing and developed countries. So it's really, really important to incorporate the minerals as well.
I'm obsessed with the polenta fries. They're really good. It tastes like normal food. It's like delicious, it's flavorful, it's spicy, like it's everything you want in food, basically.
Chris, can you take insects as an alternative source of proteins?
Why not? Philip, actually, if you look at what we used to do traditionally, we eat a lot of insects. I don't know how to call some of them in English. Termites, locusts, and they were very serious delicacies. And the beauty about these insects, they are traditional delicacies that are also associated with the very important meanings in life. For example, where I come from, when you saw locusts, when you saw grasshoppers, then that will also be a signal of good harvest. Okay. So as you also enjoy some of these things, they also remind you that the future is bright. So they give you hope. But beyond that, one of the things that I really like about this presentation, if you just look at what we are talking about, quite a number of diversification, a different thought, a different line of thinking. And I like the fact that, you can be able to use insects. Looking at what happens today, the health issues, people are trying to go traditional. So this provides a traditional view, and it provides confidence to the people that what they are eating is good, is fresh, is natural. Nobody has grown them. Of course, a time will come when now people start growing them as a business venture, which will also earn income. So I really think this is a very good thing.
But do you think it's sustainable in terms of where do you get these insects all the time? Like the grasshoppers and the termites. We only get the termites when it rains. What happens?
It is sustainable because I believe this can be a very good business venture. If you look at even what we have been talking about in Kenya, on a light note, the issue of donkeys by the Chinese, they are slaughtering them. And we are asking ourselves for how long it takes. The gestation period of a donkey is quite long. So if they kill them, the question is, When will we have them? So for insects, you know, these are providence of nature, but we can also be able to do it as a business. So if we do it as a business, we can do a number of things to be able to make sure that, you know, the supply is there every now and again, and also remind our members what is the value of eating insects. What does it symbolize? Beyond the symbolism that it provides, it is also a special delicacy. By the time you are eating insects, you know, you are not just enjoying it, but you are also reminding yourself of what our great-grandparents used to do when we didn't have the opportunities for all this. So it reminds us of our history. It also gives us hope because, like I mentioned, where I come from, it shows that there is going to be bumper harvest. So there is also hope that is instilled. But it can also be a business venture.
In some countries like China,
yes,
they eat almost anything. Do you think ours is just a mental state that we are scared to eat some things, and that if we teach our children when they are young that you can eat all these things, in the future we may not have these food insecurity issues?
I will say it's a mental thing, because there are many reasons why people eat what they eat. One of the factors is religion. You know, religion plays a very key role in the way people live, because food is more behavioral. But I think there is need really to increase the food sources that we have. Perhaps there is a lot of strain on what we are used to. Many times there are those communities in Kenya that were not eating ugali, for example. But today, if you look at it, quite a number of us, ugali has become their staple food. Where I come from, rice was not considered food. So if you give me rice, I will demand that I be given ugali. But that is slowly changing. I also feel that we have not exploited what we have. So as much as we want to go, you know, the other world's ways, have we really used what we have? Have we exploited? Have we used technology really to enhance the food production that we have? But it's important that we as Kenyans, we have a conversation. For a very long time, I am one person who believes we need to have a national food and nutrition conference where we can be able to talk to each other and really define what are some of our food sources. How can we do it better? So that, you know, we don't put so much strain on what we already have. What we already have, we can improve on how we do them better. Produce more maize that we can be able to use locally and also sell to other regions. Produce more potatoes and, you know, eat them and also sell to other regions.
Well, indeed, Chris, I totally agree with you. We need to call each other into a meeting as a country and discuss food problems that we have. And this is one of the solutions. Now let's look at what dairy farmers had to say in the country. On today's segment of Sauti ya Mkulima, we feature dairy farmers who are making a killing from value addition of their milk.
Climate change has really affected us in many ways. For example, in March and May, we were supposed to experience the long rains, which really, they were short. And looking at the hay that I have in store, it's not enough. And the paddocks also will not last long until the short rains in October.
Kulingana na ile experience yangu ambayo niko nayo hapa, kitu ya kwanza ni mtu ukiwa unataka kuanzisha mambo ya ufugaji yoyote Kenya hii, kitu cha kwanza lazima ukue na maji. Kitu ya pili lazima ukue na feeds za kutosha. Either shamba ama ukiwa unajua njia tu ya kutoa ili upate nyasi ya kutosha kwa wakulima.
Now let's look at how different agricultural commodities are performing in different markets across the country. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us today.
I feel privileged and honored to share my thoughts with Kenyans.
You're most welcome, but we have to end there for today. That is all from This Week in Agriculture. I've been your host, Philip Keitany. Until next time, goodbye.